Hey guys, it's Danny. Today we're gonna talk about an orchid which is quite special in my collection, and I have to say I'm a little late to the party, but schedules are really not my strong points these days. I'm actually not going through the greatest periods, and I think you can hear it from my voice. Excuse my voice, there has been quite a lot of crying going on. But honestly, doing videos actually does me good. It just gets my mind off of things. So today, we're actually gonna talk about the Dimorphorchis LOWII. He's not here. Why am I filming this? Let me show you where he is. He's actually on the other shelf. There he is, right there. Now, that little guy is a very special orchid. It's one of the rarer orchids you can find on the market, although in recent years I've seen it quite a bit. However, why this orchid is special is not necessarily due to its rarity, but because I actually received it from another orchid YouTuber. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the story, make an update. This is the annual update of the Dimorphorchis LOWII for those of us who have it. So I'll get the orchid down, look at it, and talk more about it. Okay, so I think we're just gonna take a look at this orchid here. I love my artificial light, the filming light, but sometimes I feel the need for natural light. Does that make sense? As I was saying, this is quite a special orchid because it has a unique blooming pattern. I'll link it down below to some articles regarding this orchid. Apparently, it can actually bloom with two different looking like flowers on the very same flower spike. Some are red, some are yellow, and not only that, apparently some are female and some are male. How interesting is that? But I actually received this orchid from John Greco here on YouTube. You can find the link towards his channel down below in the description. He actually made an update on his Dimorphorchis as well. And I'll link you to other videos on this orchid just so you see how they look like for other people. Let's just go a little bit through the history of this orchid. If I remember correctly, I think I was the last to receive it because it spent about a month or 3 weeks or so on transport. And this orchid was potted in sphagnum moss. So I was really scared that I would lose it. It would get stem rot or root rot or crown rot or something, but it didn't. It was a little bit stressed, yes, after 1 month on transport. I think any orchid would be, but he was quite vigorous and he bounced back really fast. Now the problem is he really didn't like Ceramis or LOWII or all of the other clay media. Do we see a pattern here with some orchids? I'm afraid to say it, but I kind of see some patterns that I don't like. That's a whole different discussion and I don't want to get into another sad thing. Anyway, long story short, he's a seedling, by the way. He is a vivacious orchid, but he will grow very big. So I thought, you know what, he's a seedling, he needs more water, he doesn't really like the dryness of the LOWII and everything. I'm just gonna put it in organic, in a mixture of moss, and this is more recent actually, moss and bark. This is a Repot mix, and behold, he actually took off. So I did make an intermediate kind of update on this orchid last year, 1 year update. And in that video, which you'll find down below, you'll find everything down below in the description, I was saying that, you know what, I feel like he's not growing all that fast. And I was looking at the videos from John Greco and his are looking the best in my opinion. His was just so big in comparison to mine that I thought, well, you know what, something has to change. So I changed it. I put it in a organic mixture, and ever since last year, let's just try to make a comparison. I'll put it on somewhere on the screen right here. Oh, he grew so much. Look at this. The leaf span is quite a lot wider than my palm. It's maybe almost 2 of my palms, which is such an improvement. Oh, I also forgot to mention I had a leaf tip dieback, typical, with very dry medium here in my climate, but there is no more leaf tip dieback. As you can see, we have very nice looking leaves now. And just look how pretty they look like in comparison to all of the others. When I received this orchid, he was really tiny. So he did grow, but I really wasn't happy with the rhythm of growth in LOWII and Ceramis and clay medium in general. So I think the change was beneficial, and I did notice an increase in growth, well, in growth speed with this orchid quite a lot. Another thing with last year's update, if you remember, I had a patch of anthocyanin on one of the leaves, the newest leaf. Back then, I think the newest leaf, maybe this one or this one. I'm not entirely sure at this point. I will check it. I'll put somewhere on the screen a picture. I do actually need to see them side by side. So I had a patch of anthocyanin and I said, well, okay, this should be a highlight orchid, but maybe it's too much light. So I pulled it back from that shelf and that patch went away. The leaf is actually green. I think this was the leaf that was just forming then. So the patch went away and the orchid was green, but recently with the arrival of spring and the more intense sun, I keep this orchid on the south wall, the patch is back on this leaf, which is now not necessarily the newest leaf. So this is not rotting, this is not fungal disease, this is not anything of the sorts, and the patches are purple, but they're back. And just like last year, the more intense is here where the leaf is actually more fragile, more tender perhaps. So I was thinking to pull it back from the light just like I did last year, but you know what? I'm just gonna let it be there because this is not burned, this is nothing serious, it's just anthocyanin and it's okay. So I'm just gonna leave it there because I do believe that by me taking it out of the light, I'm just making sure he never gets adjusted to that amount of light. And it's not a whole lot of light, it's Cattleya light actually. I have my Cattleyas, the Renantheras, you've seen the orchids. I have all of them there, and yes, they all get a little bit red, but they don't actually burn or anything. It's impossible for them to burn there because the sun is sheltered, or actually filtered, through a sheer curtain. So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna let it be, and this patch will eventually disappear when the orchid gets adjusted to the amount of light. So that's a little note that I discovered last year as well, around springtime, around this time as well. But anthocyanin pigmentation usually goes away with the orchid getting adjusted to the quantity of light or with removal of the source of light in a way. I'm just not going to do it this year, and I'm gonna let him be in the sun. Now let's just take a look at the root system. One of the things that I really kept a close eye on this orchid are the roots. Because in the other medium, I thought that he didn't produce as many roots as he should. And well, in this medium, he did grow. There we go, we do have a root poking through the medium and growing. So I'm pretty sure everything is okay inside the pot. This is a quite recent repot. I transitioned it from moss to this Repot Me mix, so it will take a while until the roots take over the pot, but I do have these root tips starting to grow on the top here, which was one of the problems that I did have in the clay medium. The root tips, the ones on the top, simply wouldn't grow. They would not burn or anything, they would just dry up. You know how a root simply stops growing and seals off the tip when it's too dry? That's what the root did. I think you can see here patches. These are not actually burn patches, it's just dryness patch, let's say. Well, I think it's growing a lot better now. I do believe this orchid doesn't grow very, very fast. I think he is a slow grower, both root-wise and leaf-wise, but I do feel that the change in medium determined a little bit of a faster growth. So that's about it on my little guy. There's not a whole lot going on because he is a seedling and probably will take another, I don't know, 5 years or so, maybe even more, until this guy reaches maturity and maybe he blooms. And even so, you know, the first blooming is not the greatest, so I don't know what to expect with the first bloom. It's gonna take a whole lot of time for this guy to grow and be mature, but developments are really, really encouraging. I took just a little sneak peek at the other YouTubers and see how theirs were doing. I think I'm around there as well. I don't think it's dramatically bigger or smaller. I think we've all kinda maintained the rhythm. However, I can tell you that last year I felt like I was at the bottom of, let's say, the growth. Mine was the tiniest one. John had the best looking one, and I think he still has the best looking one. It's the biggest, it grew the biggest, let's say. So this year I am feeling a little bit better about myself. He is growing. So that's encouraging. I guess we'll see what happens next year. Hopefully we're all gonna have big Dimorphorchis. I intend to maintain this orchid in brighter light than last year and see how that helps. Usually with bright light, the metabolism increases. I'm gonna try to make sure that I fertilize it right and I offer enough water. And I guess that kind of concludes my update. It's time to end because the dog cannot sit quiet anymore. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. It was quite therapeutic, I have to say. Things are not yet great with Bendy. My boyfriend is watching him now. I guess things need time, but I just cannot wait for things to be back to normal again and for me to stop complaining. You know me, I don't complain on video, but sometimes. Oh, sometimes I complain. But with that said, I don't know when I'm gonna post next because it's Easter here today. So there's gonna be a celebration tonight. Everybody wants me to participate and be happy, and I cannot. Yeah, I will do my best. I'll find a bottle of something and I'll forget about issues. But yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna post. Maybe tomorrow, maybe on Monday. I'm not entirely sure. I'll see you when I see you. But hopefully you've enjoyed the Dimorphorchis LOWII. And don't forget to check the description for the other videos from the other YouTubers. And with that said, you know the drill. Like, dislike, subscribe. If you want to see more orchid videos, I promise I'll get back to work soon. Check out the merch store if you want to support the channel. I postponed the collectibles. I think that's obvious. But yeah, I'll see you, I guess, I hope, on Monday. Bye!